What's going on, fellas? How you doing? We got my man Dwayne to the right. We got Quan in the building.
What's up? The man Quan, the man, the myth, the legend.
Yeah, man. So we are excited and happy to be back, man. I guess let me kind of tell y'all, right? So I think it was about, I think it was a month and a half ago, right? So I was at Lake Norman. I was on a boat, and I got into a kind of interesting situation where I thought I may lose my life. I was
Oh, wow.
yeah.
That's crazy.
I was on the almost drowned, bro. Yeah.
Y'all fell out the boat?
I fell off. I didn't fall off. I got out, right? So like I always go to Lake Norman all the time, every summer, right? You know, me and my friends, you know, we rent a boat, and so like most of the time when I go, it's usually during the week, so there's not a lot of boat activity, first of all. Yeah. So that particular day was a Saturday, so there was a lot more activity on the lake. So it causes the water to be a lot more active, right? So normally and I could swim, right? But like I'll get out the side of the boat, and I'll like just swim to the back. I tried to do that. And what happened was when I got out and I tried to swim to the back of the boat, me and the boat ended up taking the boat. The water took me one way and the water took the boat a whole nother way.
Oh, it separated you.
So I don't even know. I may have been 20, 15 feet away from the boat, right? And, you know, you think, all right, I'm going to just swim to it, but it wasn't working because the thing was, right,
Wow.
like the water was moving so aggressively, like swimming was not an option. So
y'all had a lot of boats going back and forth?
So where we were at, there weren't a lot of boats, right? But it still was a lot of boats going by. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'm out there, right? And like I start freaking out because I don't even know how long I was out there, bro. I have no idea. And everybody on the boat, now my wife is on the boat, my sister's on the boat, you know, my friends are on the boat. And like they're like losing their mind because it's like they like, I guess you know the pontoon boats. It's easy. It's one thing. It's a wheel and it's literally a lever that goes forward and backward. And I'm like saying push it back. And like while I'm talking, like water's going in my mouth. And like there was a time where I really legit thought like I was gonna die out there.
Started panicking.
Yeah. So I'm just like floating, and I'm like, this is not how I'm trying to go out.
And it probably didn't help that they was panicking too.
Yeah. Like I'm like, why y'all?
Yeah.
Why y'all? Like I'm like saying, push it back, bro. Push it back. Because I didn't have no life vest. So I'm like, thank God I wouldn't have jumped out if I didn't know how to swim, first of all. But like when you're in a situation like that, and I know you could attest to that too as well, where you think this is it. Right? Where you think that your life may be over. I'm like, and like I'm playing in my mind as I'm in the water. You know, my wife and my sister about to watch me die. Like, what? Like here? So I'm like in there, and I'm like just trying to stay afloat long enough for them to figure it out and turn the boat around. I'm like, you know, like Lord Jesus. That's the only person I could call at that point in time, because you know, ain't nobody else can help me in that situation. And you know, I guess for me, man, it just is like when you're out in those situations and you're thinking about, I ain't thinking about basketball, I ain't thinking about this podcast. I'm thinking about like eternity at that point, really.
I'm gonna live or I'm gonna die.
I'm thinking about eternity, fam. I'm thinking about 33 years and then the rest of my life. Or that's it, and then eternity, and I'm going someplace. So I say that to say this: your life is fragile, and we have a short time on this planet to do what we need to do to make things right, to get things right. We do not have time to play around. If certain people get offended by what we talk about on here, if the topics are too triggering, if the topics are too controversial to where it upsets you and offends you, I'm sorry. We only got a short time here. And with everything that's going on in the world, yeah, we could talk about a lot of funny things and silly things and stuff that's gonna, kind of numb you and distract you from what's really going on out in the world. But, I see gas prices at $4 out here, in other places, other countries, $5 and $6. I see people being evicted. I see homeless people. I see black wealth going down like crazy, right? I see our school system messing up our kids, messing up our boys, messing up our girls. I see our children confused. I see a lot of things, right? We don't have time to play. We don't have time to fool around. So with that being said, the topic of this, or the focus of this episode is, are we as black people our worst enemy? And what I mean by that is that, have we allowed ourselves to go so far left to the point where we may not be able to get things on the right track? And, somebody will tell us, well, what do you mean? Black people are doing great. We had a black president. Jay-Z and Oprah are doing well. Jay-Z's a billionaire. Puffy's a billionaire. Dr. Dre's a billionaire. But if you look at the statistics across the board on a macro level, we're doing worse.
Well, before, I don't mean to cut you off, but the thing is, people got to realize, we saying black people, Jay-Z, all of them, they are billionaires. They are billionaires. That's not every black person. So individually, certain people are doing well. Individually, certain people are doing real good. They're doing great. Now, some people that's not billionaires, they're doing great. It's not, the thing is, we always categorize ourselves in one when it comes to somebody becoming a billionaire. We made a billion. No, they made a billion. Or this person get a promotion. You know what I'm saying? And when you saying are we our worst enemies? Some of us are. Some of us are worst enemy in a good way. When I say that, some of us are harder on ourselves. We critique ourselves a lot worse than others. Then you got some people that dig themselves a hole, but they don't know how to get out. Mm-hmm. And I agree that some of us are our worst enemies. And that's the thing. Some of us don't know how to adapt or to basically say, this is basically what it is that I always say, the Lord never puts nothing on me that I can't bear. Some of us look at other people's blessings and wonder why they're not getting blessed. Yeah. Things like that. Start counting other people's blessings. Worry about yourself.
I guess my thing in regards to it is that, like, the comatose, I guess, state that a lot of our focus in, because, like, if you look at what a lot of people are worried about, and you can only judge this by, and the thing is, like, because we have a lot of access to people's lives because of phones and the internet, social media, is that people can say what you put out there is what you're, it's not, this is not who I am, right? Mm-hmm. But, like, if you see a certain type of thing being popularized, right, or a certain type of thing being promoted within black society, that often is going to be, I can't judge you based on anything else. So I see, black folks having gender wars, right? Oh, black man is the white man of black society, right? Toxic masculinity. Then you have, all right, well, diaspora wars, meaning, Africans and Caribbean black people are the enemy of American blacks, right? You have entertainment, binging on celebrity culture, binging on thought culture. All these type of different silly arguments that folks are getting into when the focus should be tackling the issues and the problems that our community is dealing with on a day-to-day, right? Like, that's what I mean by, are we our worst enemy? Because, like, the distractions that we constantly get pulled into, even during the Roe versus Wade stuff, like that thing, I mean, I get it. For some black people, that is a triggering issue and a hot button topic for a lot of folk. But the reality is, man, we got 0.01% of the wealth in this country as a collective. If we're not talking about that, I really don't. I mean, if that's not the main thing that we're focused on, right? Our family structure is messed up. Our education is messed up, right? That and what we decide to focus on as a collective, right? And we all fall victim of it at times, getting distracted, right? And I'm not saying you can't watch TV or you can't do certain things, but at the same time, there has to be a time where we have serious conversations as a group about what we're going to do to remedy the problems that face our community as a collective. Mm-hmm. That's the key thing.
Well, I know Quan might have something to say, but one thing first, before we could address the community, you got to address yourself.
Yeah.
People as a whole, especially black people, we got to address ourselves. We got to address our own issues first before we could try to do everything in other issues. Because one, a lot of time our issues is carry over into community issues. You know what I'm saying? Because we haven't gotten our own house straight. We haven't, like they say, sweep around your own front door before you sweep around mine. It's a gospel song if y'all don't know. But but the thing is, they said take care of your home first before you start stepping out trying to take care of everybody else's home. Because I know a lot of people does this. And, I'm not saying a lot of successful people do it. They taking care of everybody else, but they not taking care of their house.
Or they look not taking care, but the scripture says before you blot out the eye in your brother, you need to blot out the speck of dust in your eye. Meaning and I think there is something to be said about that, but I do think that disorganization or the white supremacist society, I would say, thrives on the fact that we as a people are disorganized as a collective because we don't know or we're not thinking about what's in the betterment of the collective. Mm-hmm. Everybody's doing their own thing. Everybody got their own ideas. When in reality, when you have everybody with their own ideas, you leave it becomes a free-for-all.
Right. And of course we have to be self-sufficient, right?
Yeah.
Under the same token though, legit, in my entrepreneurial career, it has not been as strong as it is today because I've been working on the main focus is increasing my network. Finding other people
like-minded,
to work together with. It doesn't have to be about money.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be about money.
And I don't have it all the way together. And if we focus on, I got to make sure myself, I'm fully, straight in order for me to help you and to help you, I ain't never going to help y'all. Yeah. And mainstream media and the powers that be, they also thrive off of that. The fact that we don't realize that we do have to work together in order for us to get it together.
Yeah. That is true.
Like you might have something to offer me that I just don't have. It could be perspective, it could be a connection, it could be whatever. But yet I'm focused on so I'm getting it out the mud.
Yeah, that's the thing, bro. Because you talk to folk, man, and the idea of collaboration amongst our people, and I can speak from I'm talking about personal experience, and these are brothers and folk that I have known for years. Getting them to collaborate, come together for a common goal, and again, everybody cannot work together, but I think that we as intelligent black people, let's use that term, right? Because we don't have everybody with I was born black, but I wasn't born excellent. Meaning, just because somebody's black doesn't mean I necessarily have to work with them, right? Because they may not necessarily, they may be on some other, they may not have the right mind frame, right? But the network, like you're saying, brother, is very important because strong people getting together, and it doesn't take a lot. I always go back to the movie 300. 300 Spartans, took on one of the largest armies or the largest army at that time. Mm-hmm. And if it wasn't for some sellout, right? Because then that's a good lesson, black folk, to learn from, man. One person sold them out and gave the secret away to what they was doing, and it destroyed and it caused them to lose that particular battle. So that's a lesson to be learned because, right, you want to get the strong among you, and it takes some vetting. It takes a vetting process too, as well, bro.
To that, that reminds me. Well, I heard someone say, Deion Sanders say, when he talked about people being successful and things like that. He said, you judge success by the haters. He said, and you know what I'm saying? And I think that's what happens with blacks. When someone is success because now you got all this hate coming out. If you got multiples of haters and people don't want to work with each other. Like, prime example, you got people that got their own business. Or you got people that's trying to build something, but then you always got people that's going to hate on the idea that they have.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think, or why do you think we have a jealousy or a crabs in a barrel? Where does that crabs in a barrel mentality come from?
I think it came from separation because at one point in time, if you look back, you always had one crab in a barrel, even during the civil rights or back then in slavery, you always had one. But more people was together, they could dominate that one crab. Because
they had no choice but to be together.
Yeah, they got no choice.
Yeah, and
right.
Yeah, and not because of segregation and things like that. Black people had to be together.
But because segregation don't mean we don't have to be together.
But
now people got the free reams or ream.
Free reign.
Free reigns.
Yeah.
I'm tongue tied a little bit, country. But now they start exploring. Everybody want to. Oh, I'm getting out of here. I'm never coming back, or things like that. So
they'll leave the hood.
It's things like that. People don't never want to come back and give. And I understand you might have a bad experience. But due to your bad experience, you should come back and make somebody else's experience not the same as yours. Mm-hmm. That's how you make things better. You got to come back. I'm not saying I'm perfect. None of us are going to say we perfect around here. But the thing is, we have this hate for each other. I think, and a lot of that deal with, I want to say, through what happened also with the crack age during that time.
Yeah.
When that happened, we was bumping heads because now you making more money. You on my turf. We not working. So I think a lot of that started happening then. We started bumping heads more and more. So when that generations kept going, all it is spilled over to generation after generation after generation, and it keeps going. So now it's in our mentality
to do it, yeah.
To do it.
Because the parents are raising the children to think like that. So, Quan, you still live in New York, right? You still live in the city. So I know you see that a lot, man, in regards to just like, folk kind of, just real shiesty, man. Like it's real, hey, like.
To me, you got people like that everywhere.
It's
just New York.
But no, it's not just New York. But I will say, because I lived in New York, that it's different. You know what I mean? Because the proximity that everybody has to each other
is different, man. Especially when it comes to our people.
Yeah,
and being in the hood. I'm sorry, like nobody. I ain't gonna generalize it, but I'm gonna keep it a buck. It's like there are a lot of people who pray for your downfall.
Yeah.
And part of it is jealousy, but also part of it is I saw you come up
the same place
from the same place I came up from. There's no excuse for me now. Now I gotta hold myself accountable. I gotta hold myself to a whole different standard and do that work. I saw how hard you work. I don't want to do that.
But
I ain't trying to do all that.
But see, that's the thing. That's when I always talk about people blessings. People want to always count people blessings. Like, how you got blessed? You came from the same neighborhood.
But society, but because of the materialism, you gotta understand, like when now because we got these, right?
Yeah.
Folk are watching each other and pocket watching each other, right? Even if it may be fake, even if the facade the person up isn't real, people are watching each other and they're like, oh, well, if someone's successful, oh, well, you know, if I had the opportunity or I could do that better versus like, you know.
Go out there and do it. And don't talk about it. If you could do it better, then do it better. Don't try to worry about what they are doing. I look at some things I could do better. I feel like I could coach better than some other people. But at the same time, I'm not going to knock what they teaching. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I might talk to the coach, but this is the difference between certain coaches. Like, I could pull a coach to the side like, Coach, they don't do it like that no more. They do it this way now. You know, the things has changed. Only reason I'm using that phrase because I'm in the coaching more, but I could tell a coach like, Coach, we used to do it back in the day like this, but nowadays they don't do it this way. So, but that's the thing. I could go to you and tell you that you take it in, and you don't take it like, oh, he just trying to hate on me, and we're not knocking each other.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's where I was going to get to. People take that, like, let's say I film a lot of music videos, right, and work with a lot of artists.
Yeah.
They see that one artist pop, and they be like, yo, he don't even rap that good, so I can rap. I'm sure.
Yeah, you hear it all the time, yo.
Oh, they can't really sing, and how they get a record deal?
In reality, though, they may not have had the best bars, but yo, they were dope at marketing. Their marketing was just
they was
crazy.
on the grind.
Their hustle was just crazy. Now, instead of you contributing to what they got going on to elevate yourself, you could piggyback off of that if you have something of value to offer them.
Yeah.
But instead, you over there sitting there making no money, or you could be breaking millions with them.
Yeah.
By maybe
it don't make sense. It don't make sense to own 100% of nothing. Yo, folk love owning 100% of nothing. Black folk love owning 100% of nothing. You know those, like the Ivy League schools, right? And this is something that a non-black person put me on as far as game is concerned when it comes to that. Those people go into those schools usually are not going to those schools to get a degree. Like, people have this assumption, like, you know, folks don't go to Princeton and get a degree. Most of like especially non-black kids, for sure, a lot of those kids come from money. A lot of those kids come from families that have, you know, different ties within corporations, legacy kids, and that kind of deal. And they're going there to network. They're going there to get plugged in. They're going there as a formality to rub shoulders and things like that. It ain't just the education they're going for. Those places are like feeding grounds and breeding grounds just to kind of get you to whether it's depending on what school it is, into the U.S. government, into some of these different, you know, big corporations. That's what that's about. It's more so about the networking and the people that you come across, because you know what type of folk are coming to Princeton, what type of kids are coming to Princeton, what type of kids are going to Harvard, type of kids are going to Yale, Brown, all those different type of places. We have to get to a point where, as that intelligent black society, right, and I use that word, right, the black folk who are thinking about being excellent or focus on being excellent, get together, because it's never going to be the majority that's going to get us to where we need to get to. It's going to be a small, strong minority, because when you get a bunch of people involved in something, and most people are sheep. Most people are followers. People are not. People are looking to be led. So, you know, and that's part of the reason why we have, you know, I wanted to get this podcast going and get the conversation going in the direction to where we're getting it to now, is because I don't want everybody. It's okay if everybody don't like this. That's fine. This is not for the cattle. This is for the lions. This is for those who are in charge of the herd. We're trying to move the rest of the herd to get on the right side. And that's just the reality, because like most people lack the vision anyway to see what needs to be done. And, you know, I think that these conversations are what's necessary to move things forward, because right, when I'm talking to, you know, different individuals from different ethnic groups and I hear about what they do with their kids, when I hear about the kind of different programs and stuff like that, I take that and I'm like, all right, I need to come and take this back to my people. Or even when I decide to have kids, and I got a nephew now, and I got little cousins too as well, that, you know, I'm gonna be trying to get them involved in the same thing, because I'm gonna be honest, this current, you know, adult generation of black people, truth of the matter, they're stuck in their ways and they're not gonna change. But if we can if we can invest into the young people, the young black men, the young black women, the children, that's where we're gonna see the real change come.
And that's why I agree we should have, I feel like, more black teachers. But even though the pay,
or more black schools, bro,
you know what I'm saying?
Because
we still got the HBCUs, but you just got.
But I'm talking about but not even at the HBCU. I'm talking about like early childhood. You know.
Well, it depends on the location, because I know where I'm from, inner city schools are predominantly black.
Yeah, but who controls?
I can't say that about New York.
But who controls the curriculum?
It depends on the city. What city? I come from a predominantly black city, so.
But
you know what I'm saying?
But public schools, right? The public school is going to determine the curriculum.
Yeah,
I'm talking about, because like the Jewish community has their own schools. A lot of the Muslim community has their own schools.
But you know why? Because they put their money into
together.
It.
That's where. Yes, exactly.
They put their money together. It's a difference. We'll put something together. You can only take a handful of people to put something together. Because like you say, you can't put too many, because we always got somebody that's going to be that bad apple. Mm-hmm. That's going to feel like, oh, I feel like you making more than me, or I feel like why I can't get it this way, why it should be my way or no way.
Let me ask you a question, right? So I know we all went to public school. Quan, I'll start with you. What do you think about the idea of independent black schools, like African American or African education based schools, right?
The idea sounds wonderful.
Yes, it sounds wonderful. The execution.
To put that into practice, you would have to go through hell. And it's not only, we don't even got to deal with the politics of the white people saying, no, we don't want that.
I'm about the government.
Yeah.
Government. The people in charge. Because you'll have black politicians who will be like, oh, no.
Exactly. That's where I wanted to get to. We don't just have to deal with the white politicians and that. We got to deal with it within our own. Because
you know what the first thing some black folk will say is like, oh, we don't need all that. Or, you know, and then, you know, because you know it's going to be tuition based, and black folk be like, oh, well, I ain't want to pay for that.
And then on top of that, you take it a step further. You look at the black politicians, their pockets going to get hit. Their pockets are going to get affected by that. If they don't do what's pleasing to the powers that be, who really have the money, who are feeding their children, they're going to do whatever it takes. They'll dress it up. But that's to sound nice and say, you know what? We don't need all that.
Well, we'll get to it. We'll get to it later. Yeah, that's the best one. We'll get to it later.
You know, now that part when you say they're gonna do what it takes, when they back against the wall, sometimes they be like, okay, I gotta do what I gotta do. But that's different. Everybody different.
Put them up against the wall, and that's the thing. Black people are so forgiving, especially when it comes to other black people. No matter how much bad they could do,
I agree.
They could do some real foul. Look at R. Kelly. Could do some real foul shit. Oh, excuse me. Could do some real foul stuff. Yet you got people saying free R. Kelly.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, you ain't catch me saying that.
But you know, you're gonna have those people regardless. Just cause some people saying free him just cause he black.
Just cause he black.
I'm gonna be honest. Think about it.
But what I'm saying is, the percentage of people who actually feel that way, not just R. Kelly, but in general,
I know what you're saying.
Where we just forgive and we forget and we put a blind eye to what's really going on. It's a lot more than
we known to forgive and forget over.
I don't even know if what we have is called forgiveness. I think it's like Stockholm syndrome, bro. I think it's a mental illness. I don't even think that's forgiveness.
But you gotta think you got a lot of blacks that believe that forgiving, you will never move forward if you don't never forgive.
I understand. I understand what you're saying. But what their idea of what forgiveness is, I think, is distorted. Because when I hear the word forgive, it just doesn't mean you allow an emotional response or that person or whatever that thing is to trigger you emotionally. But it doesn't mean you allow the behavior and the abuse to continue.
Yeah,
that's what black people, we allow the abuse as a collective, allow the abuse to continue. That's not forgiveness. That's a sickness.
They just ignore it. They get to the point where they just starting to ignore it. Like, I'm just going to ignore it. But back to the independent school thing. Only thing I could say yes is a good idea. Then at the same time, it could be pushing us back to segregation.
Well,
you know what I'm saying? That's what that's the only thing I could say about that differently.
My only pushback on that would be is that every other community has similar things, right?
True. But that's the only thing I could say about that part. Because realize we did have our own black schools at one point in time. It was only blacks that was allowed in. We did have our own, but then we wasn't getting everything that everybody else was getting. We weren't getting the funding. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So that's why things change, and they fought for a change because they wasn't getting everything that was they should have been.
Yeah, let me further explain my idea too as well, so I'm clear, right? So it doesn't sound like I'm just saying. So the base of the school is a Afrocentric base. Doesn't mean just like HBCUs doesn't mean that black or non-black people can't attend the school, but it's centered like the culture. Certain electives are going to be rooted in African American, African Caribbean history, about the African diaspora, the history of Africa and different countries within the continent, the history, and it's independently basically. You have an endowment, just like Princeton or Harvard has an endowment. So if we use the example of just say in Charlotte area, if you had, some local business owners, like a collection of them who are on the board, who are a part of the endowment, and then within the community, they got donors and found corporate sponsors and things like that funded the school. And then it's also tuition based. And the center of it doesn't mean that it's exclusively for black people. Because there's certain Mandarin schools. I know I've been to Atlanta a couple of times, and I know there's certain Mandarin schools, but they have all types of kids in there, black kids. But the educational base is centered around Chinese or Mandarin culture. So the kids learn Mandarin. They learn a lot of tech. They learn a lot of how to write and read in Mandarin. So that's more so what I'm talking about. So
it's kind of like younger school is kind of almost like a HBCU. That's inviting everybody to come to.
You can come, but the center of it.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Okay, so that makes more sense. Now I get what you're coming from. Yeah, and so I don't see nothing wrong with it. It shouldn't be nothing wrong with it because the thing is, you still got the HBCUs. That's the same thing. It's just we don't have it at the lower level.
Yeah, and I'm saying yes at the lower level where it's the focus of it is on that, right? So I think that is a good idea. And I think it's something that could be put into practice. And it doesn't, when I say a school, it doesn't mean you have to have 1,000 or 2,000. It don't got to be big. It don't got to be a huge school. It ain't got to be like a public school in the city of Chicago where there's 2,000, 3,000 students. It could be 100 kids. It could be a small, it doesn't need to be that because, truth of the matter, a bunch of folks ain't going to be signing up for that anyway. But like I was saying before, it doesn't need to be 100. It doesn't need to be 2,000. Once again, that's really what it takes to win and succeed.
So with that said, I touched on HBCUs because I went to one, but due to the fact if people don't realize tuition in HBCU is higher than any PWI. 90% of the PWIs, HBCUs tuition is higher.
On average.
Most of them are private.
They're private schools, yeah.
So it's basically the same thing if you had lower level elementary, middle school, junior highs, or high schools that was like that. It's basically the same thing. And the thing is, why some of the HBCUs have started falling off and some have closed is due to the fact we start supporting our own. Mm-hmm. And that is, I believe that's the problem. And that, like what Quan was saying, it's a good idea, but the problem is the politicians, when they back against the wall, what they gonna do? They gonna do what they gotta do, stay on the good side. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same thing. That's why I feel like when the idea is good, it's just we as blacks, we would not stick to our guns. Some of us gonna be like, man, I'm good. And some of us still talk bad about the black colleges. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you ain't gonna get, if you get a degree out of this college, you ain't gonna get no job.
But that's a lie. But you know the issue with that, and that's a good thing to close on, is that it goes back to, because the reason why they talk about the HBCUs, because they're worried about getting jobs at non-black corporations. If we had more black businesses, real black business, I'm not talking about just food, like restaurants and barbershops. I'm talking about real, legitimate black-owned businesses, corporations, stuff like, Ryan was on here, stuff like the stuff that he's doing, right? Where it's like, it's based on, like, it's a real, and not to say restaurants and barbershops are not real black business, but a more diverse and
corporate America,
real corporate structure for black people, then it wouldn't be a problem to go to Morris College or Benedict or South Carolina State or any of those places. So we, in regards to education, what we talked about, in regards to networking, in regards to working together as a collective, that's what we need. And a real economy. And it starts with the younger children. We got to teach them entrepreneurship. We got to teach them we got
to change their mindset.
Change the mindset. You know what I'm saying?
Change their mindset from the social media mindset. We got to let them understand social media is going to be out there. It's good for entertainment, but we got to make sure they understand the difference between social media and real life. What you see on social media, what you see this person doing, we got to make sure they understand, and we got to change the way they thinking. They don't feel like they got to work hard to earn something. They don't. That's the thing. We made them lazy. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah, it's a parent's fault.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I could say the same thing. It's only reason we did it on purpose is that when you don't have something, when you're younger, you try to provide for them, make sure they have. And it's not that you did it on purpose. It's just you just want to have them to have a better life. Mm. And what happened is we do give them a crutch a lot of times, and that's what happens. And we made them lazy. And I agree. I'm a parent.
Hey man, accountability is important, man. So
true.
Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Follow us on Instagram at Cavalier Convos. Make sure you comment on this video, and we will be back with some more.